Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com. In this video we're going to take a look at nullability in Kotlin and the Safecall operator. We have more concepts to look at in connection with classes and objects, but before we do, let's take a step back and look at some more basic concepts in Kotlin. Let's create a string in Kotlin. I'm going to use var to declare it so that we can change it. I'll call it name, and this is a type string, and let's assign it to a name. As we've seen, you can find out the length of this string using the length property. Let's run this program. It says 3 because the name Bob has 3 characters in it. Now there's a special value in Kotlin called null. Null means basically no value. So we could assign this name to null like this. Here it was set to Bob. Here it's not set to anything. However, notice I get an error here, and that's because by default, variables in Kotlin in fact cannot be assigned to null, but it is sometimes useful to be able to do that. So Kotlin will allow it if you explicitly say that this variable is nullable. It is something that can be set to null, and to do that we just put a question mark after the type. So now name can either refer to a valid string or it can refer to null. Those are the two possibilities. But if it refers to null, we haven't then got a string object that we can access the length property of. Kotlin fends off this potential problem by giving me an error. It's not going to let me run this program. If I want to access the length property or any property or method of the name string, one way I can do it is by first checking that name is not null. So I can say here, if name is not equal to null, let's put in the curly brackets, and now my code will actually run. If we run this, of course we get no output because name is actually equal to null, so we're not going to do this anymore, and that's fine. There are other ways that we can tackle this problem, and one way is to use the Safecall operator. So let's write println name.length again. But this time, instead of using the dot operator to access the length property, I'm going to use the Safecall operator, which is a question mark followed by dot. Now, if name is null, this Safecall operator will not attempt to access the length property. Instead, it will return null, meaning I'm just going to do println null. Let's run this. And you can see we've got null printed out down here, which is coming from here. On the other hand, if I comment out the assignment of name to null and now I run it, now not only does this code run, but this Safecall operator safely accesses the length property of name, which is now not null, and we get 3 printed out on the console down here. Do try this out for yourself. This is a really great idea, which people did not pay sufficient attention to in earlier programming languages. For example, in Java, or even worse, C or C++, accidentally treating null values as though they aren't null is a major source of bugs. Kotlin solves this problem by just not allowing you to do that. And we're also seeing similar developments in other more recent programming languages, like Rust, for example. So that's it for this video, and until next time, happy coding.